So I'll go ahead and put these back in here. And so I have them pull, you know, usually 10 or 12 cards. I do a type of Celtic Cross. But with my Celtic Cross, I do 2 more cards, which basically gives me a timing card and an advice of the higher self card at the very end, right? And so I go ahead and you know, when I'm doing readings kind of for myself, I'll just kind of go through, you know, where a client will pull the cards. I'll go ahead and I'll pull the first card. And then, again, the first card's a significator. And I'll try to go through this really fast. A significator is basically, you know, symbolic of you as the person asking the cards, you know, advice. And so it's basically revealing where you are and kind of how you're coming across to the universe. And I pulled a major arcana, which is a Chariot card. Now, any major arcana means that there's a spiritual lesson going on in that person's life. And so major arcana cards do mean more than the court cards and the minor arcana, because the major is like a major shift in your spiritual understanding, right? And so with the Chariot, that's basically talking about, you know, the Chariot itself as a spiritual lesson. It's about movement, moving forward with your life's purpose, right? But you have 2 almost like opposed energies that need to be harnessed and balanced for you to move forward. Okay, it's been quite a while since I pulled this card for myself, but it's basically saying, you know, to achieve one's aims, and again, this is a spiritual lesson, but it is about success with your purpose in life and your goals, right? But it's saying that you need to have balance between, like this one has the 2 sphinxes that are pulling the Chariot, and so it's the 2 sides of life, you know, negative things that may happen to you, positive things, but basically, you know, reining in those things and having a balance, so then it pulls your Chariot where you need to go. So you're staying, you know, basically on your path. So you're not letting one of these sphinxes pull you to one side or the other. Okay, so really as a major arcana, it's saying, you know, for your spiritual purpose and to move forward, you need to have balance in your life between what you would consider the good forces and maybe the darker forces within, right? It's not necessarily good and evil, but it's more like yin and yang, and so then that's why this has a little yin yang symbol. And you know what's funny is I'll keep seeing at different points, I'll keep seeing that the people in these cards will have almost my same haircut, which is really weird because quite often, you know, when I used to grow my hair out, I used to bring it straight down, and lately I've just been pushing it straight back, you know, straight back. And this guy, you know, riding the Chariot, this charioteer, has that same haircut that I happen to have right now. So it is kind of interesting. Okay, so that's my significator. So it's just basically saying right now there is a pathway that I'm on, you know, and a purpose, but I need to balance out, you know, the extremes, right? In that way, it's kind of like, you know, the star. But I think it's a little more dynamic than the star or temperance. It's more about balance in motion, right? So the next card, that's a significator. This next card is basically the what's surrounding you at the moment. So it's like the present situation. And it's saying there's a page of rods. Okay, so a page of rods is receiving information, news, messages, right? Phone call, text, email. And you know what's interesting is it's talking about someone wanting to learn knowledge. Usually a page is a young person wanting to learn knowledge, right? Sometimes it's a new student coming. But, you know, often it means good news, good cheerful news with your purpose and what you're trying to accomplish. And that's a page of wands or rods when it's upright. But it's saying basically good news, a good herald, you know, and it has to do with my goals and what I'm trying to do. And basically, you know, I teach Reiki, I teach Kung Fu, I teach spiritual things and meditation. So then it fits within the wands or the rods, you know, the page of rods. And, you know, receiving a phone call or receiving a message of someone who might want to learn. And, you know, pages of rods are also young people that want to travel, you know, they want to travel and learn. So right now, that's kind of in my present situation, okay? And then, you know, this next card is actually, it's not really an opposing force as much as it is, you know, like a something that I need to kind of navigate through or around, right? And then that is a Seven of Swords reversed, okay? So a Seven of Swords is interesting because it's talking about, you know, possibly a situation where things are dishonest at the moment. And it has to do with, you know, maybe arguments that had happened or illnesses, right? Swords can be any clashes of will, but then they can also be any kind of injury, any spiritual wound, any argument that you had with somebody years ago even, right? So quite often I see the Seven of Swords and the swords themselves in timing. They go back, sometimes even each sword can be a year, you know, so it could have been 7 years ago that there was a dishonest situation going on, right? But the effects of that, of somebody, you know, maybe trying to take too much, somebody being selfish, you know, trying to deceive, right? But so then that's kind of this thing that is, it's kind of like an obstacle. It's a challenge. It's in my way. This idea of, you know, maybe being taken advantage of, or someone wanting to take instead of pay for, or to take advantage, right? And so when I talk about timing, timing with major arcana is usually going on right now. Timing with rods is usually, you know, in the pip cards or in the minors, it's usually each rod is a week of time. Swords can be ongoing. They can be, each sword can be a year, because sometimes we're talking about betrayals that happened many years before, like in our family, or sickness, right? Sometimes chronic sickness can last for years. So that's where I kind of see swords as years. Some people say, well, then that's whenever you actually get in an argument or fight with someone, which I don't think that's very accurate, right? And then, of course, pentacles are months and cups are days. So cups, things happen very quickly, you know, with cups, with your emotions. Things are very slow when it comes to a harvest, like a career and money, you know, very slow. And then that's pentacles. Okay. And so the next card, you know, that's basically the present situation, and then, you know, a challenge that's kind of on top of me at the moment. But then I take and I put a card on what's above me. And then that's basically what's on my mind, what's on my conscious mind. And then that is the Seven of Pentacles, which is saying over 7 months, the idea of building an idea or a harvest, you know, that something that I can learn and do and make money from, right? But when a Seven of Pentacles is reversed, it usually means that, you know, the idea itself, probably, you know, the investment probably won't work out for it. And it's saying over 7 months that I've been kind of putting money into something, and it's really not paying off, right? And in fact, it's kind of being a wearisome thing, and it's kind of depleting me, right? And that's what's kind of on my mind. And the next card, you know, goes into the client's subconscious, right? And so that's why this middle pillar here in the cross that will form is basically our intention, kind of what's going on with us, what's our intent, and then what's underneath our intent is, you know, in our subconscious.